This lecture may be injurious to your sentiments. It may incur rational sense in you. Watch at your own discretion. Your sentiments are not my liability. Hello, students. This is my second lecture on Robert Browning's poem, My Last Duchess. In the previous lecture, in the previous part, I explained the poem line by line. It was a textual analysis. We have gathered some points while reading the poem. We have gathered some questions in our minds. And now it is time to gather together all those points and answer all those questions to get a comprehensive analysis, a critical analysis of this particular poem. So the textual analysis has been already given, and now it is time for a critical analysis. We'll talk about the form, the language, symbolism, images, the characters, that means the Duke and other characters also. We'll talk about the message, the central ideas, and most importantly, we'll talk about why this poem is relevant to us in our time. Let's begin today's lecture. First of all, I must remind you that this poem was for the first time published in 1842. So it is a piece of Victorian literature. But the setting of the poem is medieval Italy, because the Duke of Ferrara is a medieval character. Now, first let us talk about the Victorian society a little bit. Although you will get more detailed information in any history of English literature book, I suggest Paul Poplawski, the Cambridge History of English Literature book that is titled perhaps Literature in Context or something like that. That book has much more detailed information about the social background, the so-called Victorian morality and everything. But let me, in a very few words, summarize the context. Victorian age was an age of prosperity if you talk about technology, if you talk about material gains. Colonialism was in full force. Economy was, perhaps the most prosperous. But the condition of people was not altogether great. There were the aristocratic people as well as people from the labor class. And there was a vast difference between their lifestyles, livelihoods, everything, their conditions. So that is the first thing to notice. Next, although there was a plethora of innovative ideas in that particular age, technology was, very much upgrading, railroads were built and so on. But on the other hand, it was an age that faced a strife between tradition and innovative ideas. On the one hand, the innovations were ongoing, technology was upgrading, the economy was prosperous, material gains was there. On the other hand, there was so-called conservatism. There was so-called, clinging to the past traditions. Because so many new ideas were coming, the aristocracy especially, they wanted to cling on to the past beliefs too much because they were feeling that everything is going down. Every belief, every traditional chores and social mores and all those practices and beliefs, everything was going down. So they were, and because they had money, so they propagated and practiced conservatism wholeheartedly. Let me give you an example of Victorian morality, how that morality was. My teacher gave that example when I was in BA first year. It was like 12 or 13 years ago. Our professor said that how was the Victorian morality? Furniture such as chair, table, they have legs. We call legs of chairs, legs of tables, and because they were called legs, those were covered, because not covering the legs was considered vulgarity. That was Victorian morality. That kind of moral sentiment was there. So you see what might have been the role of women in general in that particular age, especially in the upper class. They were like dolls and treated like dolls. That your beauty is everything, your virtue is to be chaste and be devout to your, father, then husband, then son, etc. So patriarchy was, although the monarch was a queen, but patriarchy was throughout the society, ruling throughout the society. Even the monarch, if you know, Queen Victoria was against women's suffrage. Being a woman herself, she did not think that women could have brains, could be, thoughtful enough to judge for whom to vote. And that's why, even though the monarch was a woman, women were not allowed to vote in that age. So that was Victorian conservatism, that was the patriarchal time. Of course, patriarchy is still here and we'll talk about it, but that was about that age. But Browning is not writing about Victorian England, is he? He is writing about medieval Italy. So how is it related to Victorian England? We'll talk about it. Let us first talk about the background. You can get this information in Wikipedia, but I'm just giving you some information, some basic information, that this poem is believed to be based on a particular duke. Duke Alfonso II, the fifth Duke of Ferrara. Ferrara is a city in Italy. Duke Alfonso II married in 1558, the year when Queen Elizabeth was throned, in England, 1558. So in Italy, the Duke of Ferrara married in 1558 a girl, or should I say woman, Lucrezia. She was 13 years old then. Yes, of course, that was very normal in those times, and even today in some countries these things are practiced, even in our countries, although it is not legal, but it is a social issue, child marriage. But in those days, it was not even considered an issue. It was a very normal and holy idea, whatever. So Lucrezia, 13 years old woman or girl, as you may call. Then the Duke, after a little period of time, the Duke abandoned her. And she died in 1561 under suspicious conditions. It is suspected that she was poisoned and she had to die because the Duke did not like her and the Duke wanted to marry a second time. So, in fact, she died in 1561 and the Duke, Alfonso II, married in 1564 another woman named Barbara, and she was the daughter of the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand I. Now that is the context. Browning doesn't tell us that I am writing about this particular man. But critics say that this poem is based on that particular person and that particular marriage. We should question ourselves as we have read the text, that is it about Italy? Is it about a particular man of a particular time in a particular city called Ferrara? Is it about Victorian England? Or is it about us, wherever we live in? The substance of the poem, let me summarize what is happening in the poem. The Duke of Ferrara is seeking a second marriage because his wife has died under suspicious conditions, suspicious circumstances. He shows the beautiful portrait of his wife, his late wife, to a silent listener. This silent listener is an envoy who is coming from a count, a certain count whose daughter the Duke intends to marry. As far as we gather, the Duchess was a pleasant, innocent, and courteous lady who used to smile and be thankful to everyone around her. But that struck the ego of the Duke. The Duke's egotistic nature was hurt, and according to his belief, she should have been pleasant only towards him because he had married her. That was, according to him, a favor done to her. Remember, Lucrezia, the actual woman we are talking about, was a 13-year-old girl. She was not from a common family. She was the daughter of Grand Duke of Tuscany. So, the point of favor is also under question. Even if we take social positions into account, she was not coming from a common family. She was not coming from, she was from a reputed family. So, the point of favor is that the Duke thinks, because I am a man, marrying a woman is like a favor from the man to the woman. The woman should be always grateful to the man for marrying her, giving her the surname of that man. That is the mindset. Now what happens? He is a very possessive and arrogant person. Also, he is in an extremely powerful position because he is the Duke. And he is talking to the envoy, making it clear what habit of the past wife disturbed her. So what he actually wants from a wife, not showing his crime, not showing his egotistic nature, but trying to justify what he did to her. And then he is talking about dowry and, making it clear that I am a duke and I should not be insulted. The dowry should be ample and everything, etc. And then shows a statue cast in bronze, etc. That's the summary of the poem. Now let us talk about the central ideas. First of all, we see that patriarchy, marriage, social status, objectification of women, lack of love in that marriage, and there is a particular theme of art and understanding art, being a connoisseur of art. So let's talk about all this one after another. First of all, patriarchy. In a patriarchal society, it is always taken for granted that women are secondary to men. Men should be in control of society and women should serve them. Women in a patriarchal society have no identity of their own. They are their father's girl, father's daughter, then husband's wife, then son's mother. Their position, it is seen in the surname structure. Unmarried woman carries the surname of the father, then married, she carries the surname of the husband. It is a patriarchal system. It just denotes that you are secondary to the man. The man controls you. The man gives you the identity that you carry. Number one. Number two, men think that they are favoring a woman by marrying her. Like the Duke thinks here. The Duke thinks that I married her, I gave her my 900 years old name, that is the surname that has been repeated for 900 years. So I gave her that surname. She should be thankful to me. She should be grateful to me. She should be only smiling to me. I should have special favor, special, affections from her. But if we take this historical context into account, that was a 13-year-old girl. 13, 14, 15, whatever. It was an arranged marriage. She had no idea about what she should do, right? Now, let me give you an example from our context, from us being Indians. We perhaps have studied Kalidasa's Abhigyana Shakuntalam, right? When in Act 4, Shakuntala goes, just begins her journey to go to her husband's palace. What does the patriarch Kanva Muni say to her? Kanva Muni advises her not to quarrel with anyone. Be friendly with your husband's all other wives. Be respectful towards the elders as well as be thankful to the servants. And never cross your husband. Always be pleasant and smiling to everyone. Be friendly to everyone. Otherwise, you won't be your husband's favorite wife. And as a wife, it is your duty to be, pleasant to that place, to everyone in that place. That was the advice, that was the patriarchal advice, right? If patriarchy teaches you to be pleasant to everyone, and if you are a 13-year or 14-year-old girl, then, and you have no idea why this person is special to you, you are being pleasant as much as you can towards everybody. But in patriarchy, if you don't smile, that can be a crime. If you don't be pleasant, that can be a crime. If you be pleasant, as we can see in this poem, it can be a crime. Because the man feels he is not satisfied. He is not happy with the woman he has married. And that gives him the right, perhaps right, or what should I say, I don't know, to kill that woman or abandon her. Right? That's how patriarchy works. Patriarchy is not about equality. It's not about I am being human and you are being human. It's about I am being a man and you are being a woman. Woman is not a respectable, a respected word even. If you have read Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, you may understand what I'm talking about, how the word woman is used in patriarchal system. So, that is the theme of patriarchy that is being shown throughout the poem. The man thinks, I am the one who did a great favor to her by marrying her, and she should serve me as I please. Even then, she refuses to discuss the matters frankly with her. He says that even then there would be some stooping. Even if I wanted to discuss it with her, even if I had, skills with my talks, I wouldn't stoop so low to talk to my wife and say to her frankly what in her I like and what in her I dislike. Even if she were ready to accept whatever I wanted, I would not disclose my feelings to her. Why? Because I am a man. I will not go down. I will not, talking frankly to someone requires a very basic thing, that I consider you as a human being just as I am. I have some peculiar problems, some misunderstanding, some dislikes, some whatever. I want to talk to you about all these things. So I am taking you as a human being. I am being, caring. But the man, the husband, the speaker here, the Duke, doesn't have that kind of mentality, because patriarchy has taught him that it is his ego that matters the most. And so he decides to give commands rather than talking to her. Of course, the point of arranged marriage, the central idea of arranged marriage is there. Religions, societal beliefs and everything, they tell you that if there is a relationship between a man and a woman, that is lust. Unless it is inside the holy bond of marriage. Once you are married, everything is holy. If you don't understand this point, I urge you to watch my video on A.K. Ramanujan's Still Another View of Grace. In the discussion of that poem, I discussed thoroughly about the conservative idea of marriage. Okay, as Ramanujan does in his poem. That's a great poem. Anyway, so in arranged marriage, it is expected, first of all, this blatant holiness is thrust upon you. Then you cannot get out of it, even if there is some kind of torture or some kind of lack of dignity, whatever. The societal pressure is there that you are in a holy bond, a bond that lasts the lifetime, and even if you believe in afterlife, then there. So this arranged marriage thing, how does it happen? It is a deal. It is a deal between a man's family, or the man himself, and the woman's family, because women, they don't have a say. Their family decides whom they are going to marry. The deal is that the man has a family name, a certain work kind of profession. In today's world, the profession matters, the earnings and whatever. There's social position in different ways. Perhaps it is caste, religion, perhaps it is the position in society, perhaps some social rank, perhaps it is monetary prospects. So the man's position and the woman's beauty plus dowry, these are exchanged. Arranged marriage is a thing. In a patriarchal society, the man is doing the favor to the woman by marrying her, taking her as his servant, whatever, and giving her a house full of legitimate children. So, in the name of holy marriage, and the woman being grateful to the husband because he has taken her and he has taken the vow of protecting her. So there is this idea at the core of it, that women are vulnerable, they should be protected all the time. And the father protected the girl, then the girl hit puberty, and now the husband will protect the woman. So of course, this is how women are objectified because of their beauty. Sometimes we say to somebody that you are beautiful, good, but that is a genetic thing. Do we say anything about her personality, her abilities, her skills, her knowledge, her, that she has accumulated through practice, actual practice? No, sometimes we value women on the basis of their attractiveness. At that point, we are actually taking her as an object. And how is the Duke taking her as an object? The Duke, it doesn't matter to the Duke that the person is dead. What matters to the Duke is covering up that beautiful portrait and then showing it to the persons to whom he wants to show. And why does he want to show that portrait? If you have read stories of hunters, Maharajas who used to hunt, they generally have a trophy room. This is the skin of the tiger that I killed in the year, blah, blah, blah. They take pride in that showing off of those skins and skulls and whatever, what not. Does this habit prove that this hunter loves wildlife? Definitely not. Because to him, the life, the living animal doesn't matter. To him, what matters is that that animal was living until I killed him. Now that skin is possessed, that skull is possessed, that ivory is possessed by me. It is in my possession. What matters is me and my possessions. So it is I, and I. It is serving his own ego. It is not the Duchess as a person that matters to the Duke. Relate it to our lives. We often do not care about the woman we are with or we are to be with. We care about what amount of beauty, attractiveness that we are going to possess that would make my friends jealous. We are serving our own ego. Isn't it? The same mindset. And you may say that we are not like the Duke. Yes. But the mindset, we are not taking the human being as a human being. We are taking the human being as an object to show off and make our friends or neighbors jealous that I have married a beautiful woman. I can manage that. That kind of mentality. Number two, of course, even in our society, dowry is a prevalent social issue. Yes, we have become educated in terms of being diplomatic in our demands. What do we say? We don't disclose that I want this or that. That is lower class thing. We, being educated people, we expect things and we say that I do not ask or demand anything, but if you want something to give to your daughter for your daughter's happiness, so this is, circumlocution, just like that. So we are expecting things, but throwing it, saying it in a way as if we are gentlemen. Same thing the Duke does in this poem. He is saying that your master's social position is ample warrant that I wouldn't be hurt, I wouldn't be insulted with the amount of dowry that is given to me, that is going to be given to me. He is not directly saying what he wants. It is like giving, it is like the exact opposite of giving a blank check. It is like a blank demand draft. I'm not sure if I'm right. I mean, it is like I am not specifically mentioning what I expect. That is more of a burden. I am trying to act gentle by not talking about it, but I am still expecting it. Now think of the father of the woman. Whatever he is going to think, whatever he is going to estimate, he is always going to think that perhaps I should increase it. Perhaps I should be more safe if I increase the amount, because otherwise, if he gets hurt, my daughter will suffer. Diplomatic thing. Okay. So, objectification and dowry, of course. Now, let us talk about the social status. The Duke is going to marry not a common woman, not a woman who has no social rank or no reputed family. No, the Duke is going to marry. He has already married a daughter of a reputed family killed her, and then he is again going to marry the daughter of a count. Social status matters. Even today, if you look at, advertisements in newspapers, you will see, even after years and years of education with dozens of worthless degrees and certificates in our houses, people are still mentioning castes, religions, and whatnot, height, weight, and modern trend is their earnings, etc. People are mentioning it openly that I have this and this and this, all these attributes, and I want again another list of attributes from another person. What can I say? The more I say, the more it will hurt you. But think about it. What is going on? Isn't this poem relevant even today? There is no love. There is no, the Duke has never said that I loved her. The Duke has never said that my late beloved wife. The Duke is not egotistically hurt because his love was hurt. No. There was no love. It was like social custom. Marrying a person of your same or similar social rank and then carrying on the customary habits together. Just like that. There was no love, there is no love. Arranged marriage is a lottery. I am not saying that no love can happen in arranged marriage. It may, there is a chance, but it is not there at least when the marriage is taking place. It may come afterwards, but what if it doesn't? Nobody gives a damn thing about it. Everybody says that you are married, you are in a holy bond. Yes, in today's society, divorce is available, but how do we look at divorcee people? We term them as, there are many derogatory terms, second hand and etc. So that tells a lot about our mindset, about human beings. We take human beings as objects, as if it is a packaging from Amazon or Flipkart. A human being should not be treated in that way, in that manner. But we do it all the time. And if you read the newspapers, you will see that every day there are dozens of news that can be read on a newspaper where it is said that a woman is killed, abandoned, tortured, burnt alive because of dowry. There are many other reasons. Now, if I have a relationship with someone, if that someone is not happy with me, and if I am not happy with that someone, isn't it humane just to leave, just to part ways? Let you be in your way, let me be in mine. Isn't it a very gentlemanly behavior, just behavior? But what do? We just do what the Duke does. Perhaps we don't do it, but we think like him. That I possess her. She should not be allowed to meet another people, other people, or another man or another woman or whatever. Then there is acid attacks. There is, burning alive. There is killing, murdering, blackmailing, what not. And this is our civilization that tells us that we have values and traditions and beliefs. All such hypocrisy. If you are a human being and behave like a human being, you won't need traditions, values, or so-called codes of conduct. You will just be right, being a human being, behaving like a human being with dignity. But because we don't have those qualities, we pretend that, just like the Duke, we pretend that I am not the culprit here. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad. So, that is how we derogate. Once the person that we perhaps I loved someone, that someone has not accepted or is not with me now, perhaps, then what do we do? What do I do? For example, like the Duke, we try to derogate the person's reputation by choosing insinuating phrases about her, saying that her character was not good enough, in a way, with a tone that as if I am too sophisticated to talk about it. So how shall I say, too soon made glad, that he is trying to say that she was promiscuous as a lady, she was flirtatious to everybody. But because he is a very gentle man, he cannot use those words, and that's why he is pretending. How shall I say? Hypocrisy. Okay. Next is art and artist. Critics all the time say that the Duke is a connoisseur of art. I beg to differ. The Duke pretends, just as he pretends to be a good person, just as he pretends to be a gentleman, just as he pretends so many things, he just pretends to be an admirer of art. Why? Why do I say this? Because the Duke covers the art, possesses it. It is mine. I decide who shall look at it and who won't. First of all, that is not a sign of admiration. Second, the person in that picture, in that portrait, doesn't matter to him. He lacks the human quality. In himself, there is no human. There is no humanity, humanistic sense. So, he cannot be an admirer of art. Third, he is forcing that person, that listener, to sit and look at the painting. He describes the painting in his own words and then thrusts upon him the idea that people like you cannot understand art unless I mention that the art was created by some fictitious name, by some fictitious person with a heavy name, like Frapp and Dolph. Now, if I love art, wouldn't I care about the art more? That I wouldn't think about what you think about the art. I would describe the art to you. I would say to you that look at the art, how beautiful it is. Do you know who created it? This person. Perhaps you don't know the name, but then the person, that name gets the respect from you. Oh my goodness, this art is so beautiful. This was created by that person, so that person must be a great artist. So while showing the art, I am respecting the art as well as the artist. Instead, what the Duke does is to create a fictitious name. So he doesn't respect the artist. He doesn't respect the piece, he covers it up and possesses it, you know, with a very what should I say, a psychopath kind of a mind. And then he doesn't care about the person in the painting, because the person is dead. He commanded her to be dead. And then he doesn't care about the artist. Can we say that the Duke is an admirer of art? The Duke is an admirer of his own self being able to possess costly, expensive things. The art has no use value. If you know, if you are a student of masters, or if you have learnt a bit of literary theory, you would understand perhaps what I am going to say. If you know Marxist criticism, you know the terms use value, sign exchange value, etc. The art has no use value to him. It has a sign exchange value. He has commodified the art. It has a value to him as long as it serves to, serves his ego, serves to, to show off that I possess this. For example, some people, they have, they buy costly things, such as a particular brand, a telephone from a particular brand, and it has a logo on behind, and they want the logo to be seen by others. Why? Just so that others think of him as a rich person, that I can possess it, I have the ability to buy this, so I belong to the upper class, etc. So that logo provides the sign exchange value. It is a sign. If you show that sign, the other person respects you, or you feel respected in front of the other person. It is a sign exchange value. So to the Duke, what he can buy, what he can have, what he can possess has sign exchange value, not use value. He doesn't admire the art because it gives him mental peace or happiness or something like that. No. He learns something from it. No. But it is valuable to him because, according to him, it serves the purpose of, what should I say? It serves his ego. Simple as that. So he doesn't understand art. Again, at the very end of the poem, of course, we understand that it is another fictitious name. Klaus of Innsbruck has cast in bronze for me. Me is very important. For me. Klaus of Innsbruck can be fictitious. That statue is a piece of art that was made for me. That is important. I am important. I can possess that, and so many great artists, I can buy them. I can make them make things for me. So I am important here. Now all these central ideas have been discussed. Let's talk about the characters. Let us talk about the minor characters. First, let us talk about Frappendolf. It is a character the least talked about, perhaps. Frappendolf is a fictitious name. Of course, the Duke has said so, that by design, I have told that name by design. So by design, that means it is a fictitious name. It is a made up name. Even so, Fra means friar, a monk. Why? Why does the Duke choose a monk to paint a portrait of the Duchess? Now we have read the text, we have all the explanations in our hand, so we know the Duke is a very possessive person, jealous, easily hurt, and tries to keep everything in his possession. Even the portrait cannot be seen by everyone. So the Duke perhaps wants to make sure, I don't know if it can be made sure, but the Duke wants to get some kind of assurance that his wife won't have some affair with a painter. So if I take a painter who is a monk means he has taken the vow of celibacy. I don't know how those vows work, or actually if they work altogether. I don't know, but at least they are there. Now, if I have to choose a painter, someone who has taken a vow and someone who has not, who is just a painter, whom would I trust? With a crooked psychology like the Duke's, I would trust like the monk. Of course, he has a lesser chance to have an affair with my wife, so I can leave my wife for some hours in front of him. And of course, the Duke is such a possessive person, such a mind he has. He gave the orders to do the painting, to complete the painting within a day. Fra Pendol's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Why? Was Fra Pendol busy? Busy enough not to make more time available to do that painting? He was commanded by the Duke, so he had to have time. No, it was not the problem of Fra Pendol's time. It was the problem of the Duke. The Duke wanted him to hurry up, to do the picture, to do the whole painting within the span of a day, because he did not want her wife to be in front of that painter for a long time. How do we get it? From the Duke's character. We have read about him. We have learned from his speech how he thinks. So we can understand, if a Duke orders a painter that you have to paint, the painter will have all the time in the world because he cannot disobey that order. But if the Duke doesn't give him enough time, then he has to work busily, uncomfortably and busily. He has to finish it within that time limit because he is ordered to do so. So, Fra Pendolf is a monk, and we have explained why the Duke chooses a monk as a painter. Of course, monks in those days, they used to paint, many of them, and they were great painters. But even in a fictitious name, the Duke is telling or making up Fra Pendolf. It is a fictitious name. Even there, the Duke is making up this name. Why? Because of his mindset. Even in fiction, he cannot leave his wife with a normal person. So, that's the Duke's character. Next comes the envoy. Now, there is not a lot to talk about the envoy, just as we talked about the painter Fra Pendolf. But there is a very crucial point. The envoy is not, of course, it is a dramatic monologue, so we don't get any voice from the envoy, but we get two things. Perhaps the envoy was curious or shocked or somehow admiring the painting. Either he was admiring the beauty and was curious about what happened to her. He did not know. Or he was shocked that this lady, this beautiful little girl, perhaps he is an old, I'm just assuming he is an old envoy. Generally those people, envoys and everything, these are tough jobs. These are generally done by old people, experienced people. So Uh, Perhaps he is thinking that this beautiful little girl, something shocking happened to her. How? Why? Perhaps there was that kind of curiosity in his mind, which the Duke, of course, misinterpreted and said that, of course, everyone that looks at that picture, have that curious face like yours, and they want to know why that blush came there, etc. I don't think that the envoy was interested in the blush. The envoy was interested in knowing what happened to that beautiful person, that little girl. To him, of course, that was a little girl. If a woman of, if a girl of 14, 15, then of course, a little girl. Second thing about the envoy is that the envoy is shocked when the Duke has disclosed, revealed his identity as the murderer or commander, of course, who commanded the murder of the Duchess. So the envoy once came to know the Duke's frightening personality. He wants to go down as fast as he can. He wanted to go down. He wanted to go down as fast as he could. Why? Because he was frightened. Number one. Number two, because perhaps he wanted to consult with his master before this person gets down, this Duke gets down. How do I know that the envoy wants to go down before the Duke? Because the Duke says, "Nay, we'll go together down, sir." That means, you cannot go before me, we'll go together down. That means, the envoy was trying to go away from the Duke. Why? Because he was shocked, he was frightened. Perhaps he was not, perhaps he was willing to inform his master, or at least the company that was below, we don't know who were there, that this is not a suitable candidate for a marriage. This is a horrible person. Perhaps he wanted to say that. Or even if he was not, at least he was so shocked and frightened, he wanted to get away as fast as possible. Okay. Now we come to the Duchess, the character of the Duchess. The Duchess, now of course everyone would say that the Duke is a psychopath and the Duchess was an innocent woman. Let me argue. How do we know that the Duchess is an innocent woman? If we take that historical background, historical context, the source into account, then she is a girl of 14, 15. And, she was married when she was 13 and died when 15 or 16. So, of that age, a teenager almost. So, she did not know about love. It was an arranged marriage. And of course, patriarchy taught her to be pleasant to everyone, all and sundry. She was doing the best she could. She was, of course, she did not know that this husband of hers had such a complicated mind to make mountains out of moles. I mean, she was just smiling and being thankful. She did not do anything else. And she was smiling and thankful towards everything, not only with men, not only towards men. Some officious fool to the sunset and to the mule, white mule. So, servants, strangers, nature, everything. She was just a kid. That's why we can say that she had no intention of being flirtatious. She did not know. She was, just a teenager. She could not have the mindset to be a promiscuous lady cheating on her husband. That is an adult thing. Okay. Now, in other contexts, suppose we forget about Lucrezia, we forget about the historical context. We take the text as it is. A person who is smiling towards everything, every damn thing, I mean the sunset, the mule, the servant, the officious fool, a stranger, that person either has that attitude, that habit of, some people just smile a lot. Just it is their, it is their appearance. They smile a lot. Some people don't smile at all. I am not saying that anything is wrong with that. It is just that, every person is different. Number one. Number two, she is not making special appearances to special persons. That proves she did not have any kind of other intentions in her mind. If she was just smiling towards a particular officious fool and not smiling as much towards others, then we could have said so. But according to the Duke, she smiled at everyone, and the Duke says that who passed without the same smile or something like that. I cannot find the line just in this moment, but it is somewhere that who passed without the same smile, that kind of thing. So everybody got that smile. That means she was being pleasant to everybody, knowingly or unknowingly. Whoever she is an unknown person perhaps. We are not talking about Lucrezia, we are talking about, an unnamed person. In today's time, suppose in today's time a husband is talking about his wife, that his wife smiles at everyone. She has a smiling face. Yes, she is not being partial. That means she has no intention to have an affair with somebody. She is smiling towards the sunset as she smiles towards the stranger, as she smiles towards her horse. Fine. So she has no complicated mind. But the Duke has. And now we move on to the Duke. Although we have talked a lot about the Duke, let me just briefly tell all the points. Number one, every critic almost, they say that the Duke he has a psychological problem. Yes, Browning writes about characters who are psychopaths to some extent, but I beg to differ again. I do not think the Duke is a psychopath. Why? I think the Duke is a normal person, a normal man, a normal product of a system that is disturbed, a system that is pathetic, that is patriarchal system. Why do I say this? Men are brought up in a patriarchal society in such a way that they have to possess things, they are given powers, and they are told that you can do everything. You are like gold, a ring made of gold. You cannot, your value will not decrease even if you are broken or bent. That kind of mindset is there, that you are pure gold, broken or bent doesn't matter, so your character doesn't matter. You have extreme power, you can have whatever you want, etc. With that mindset, with that training, years after years after years of that training, a person, of course, becomes like this. He doesn't see anything wrong in himself, and perhaps in that society, it is very much, in a society where a 13-year-old girl is married off to a man, what can you expect from that society? Now, many people are going to be hurt that I have said this thing, because in many parts of the world and in many families and in many mindsets, this is a common thing even today, to marry off a woman before he becomes a woman. I mean, a girl hits puberty, before she hits puberty. It is a very, even today, this is a prevalent issue in Asia, in Africa, where not. I am not talking about, specific places, because I don't know about specific places, but even in India, even though it is illegal, it is a concern. Child marriage is a concern even today. So what mindset can you expect from these people who accept and who propagate these ideas, who practice these habits even today, right? So this Duke, according to me, if he is a psychopath, from our perspective, he is made so by the society he was brought up. He is given immense power. He is the Duke. He is a man. He can marry whoever he wishes to marry. And he can think that I have done a favor because, the patriarchal mindset. So, I would say that yes, he is a psychopath from our perspective today, educated perspective, but in medieval times that was so normal. If we say that he is a psychopath, inside our minds, we are denying the fact that this is even today normal to many societies, many families, many people. If we are saying that the Duke is psychopath, hey, yes, he is a psychopath, I am not, we are not, nobody is, etc. But actually that is not the case. The Duke is still here, still today he is here. Perhaps he is not the Duke, but he is a man in a patriarchal society who thinks of a woman as if she is an object, and she is used as an object, just as the Duke uses his wife. So that was the first point about the Duke. He is a perfect product of a patriarchal society. If he is a psychopath, yes, he is, but there are psychopaths all around us. Wherever there is a patriarchal society, there is people like the Duke. If you open a newspaper of any day in the calendar, you will find the Dukes in different forms, in different social positions, in different areas, different with different, so-called different cultures and everything, but they are behaving like this duke. Okay, so it is, if we say that the duke is a psychopath, we are not trying to solve the problem. The duke is just a symptom of the actual problem. The actual problem is the way he or persons like him are bred and brought up. That is the patriarchal societal norms. Next, the duke, we have already discussed about the duke not being an admirer of art. So that is the next point about the duke. We have already discussed, so I am not going again. Next point is the duke's language, and the duke's language as well as the poem's language is the same because it is the duke's speech. So the poem's language is not poetic. It is giving us a dramatic effect. Of course, it is a dramatic monologue. A character is speaking, so dramatic effect, of course. It feels dramatic. But not only that, the language is, it has no emotion or, imagery or all these things, artistic qualities. But it is diplomatic. You may ask, where? Look, he says, wilt please you sit and look at her? He is commanding, but in a way as if it is being, he is being polite. Please you sit. Wilt please you sit. What can the envoy do in front of the duke if he asks him to be seated? In a diplomatic way, he commands that you have to look at this portrait and listen to me, what I have to say about my expectations from a wife. Next, he says, she had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad. Again, diplomatic turn. How shall I say, I am such a sophisticated person, I cannot utter it in a derogatory way, but I am meaning it. The best example is when he talks about the dowry. He says that, I repeat, the count your master's known munificence is ample warrant that no just pretence of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. This is circumlocution. This is just periphrasis. He is saying that I expect a dowry that is enough not to insult my position. I am not disclosing it, but I should be satisfied. Although my object is the daughter. Now here object has two meanings actually. It is, I would say, used as pun. Object means objective, and my intention, my target is to marry the person, the human being. But objectification. So my object, of course, he is taking all, he is looking at women or perhaps all the people around him as objects to him, right? So he is objectifying human beings. He is derogatory towards, even to the envoy, towards the envoy. He says that, strangers like you never read that, qualities of this picture. Strangers like you. Who says in that tone, in that manner? That is impolite. But he keeps a facade of politeness in front of him. What is the Duke actually doing here? The Duke is trying to show his power, his positions, his power as the Duke, his power to kill a woman. all these things, his position, that he possesses all these great arts and etc. He is the duke and he has so much of money and power, and these arts are, and artists are his servants, etc. At the same time, he wants him to know what he expects, what he is expecting from his next wife, because how his previous wife actually dissatisfied him. He wants to talk about that, but in a manner as if he is a very sophisticated person and all the lowly things were done by his wife alone. But in all this diplomatic style and all these roundabout ways of talking, he has revealed himself in front of us. So that is the Duke. I would say, if you look at the title, and if you look at the very first sentence, that's my last Duchess, and the very last one, cast in bronze for me. Look at the title of the poem. Of course, the Duke has a particular egotistic self. His world is, he is the center of the world, according to him. His attitude. My last Duchess, not my last wife, not my late wife, not my late beloved wife. No. My last Duchess. To the Duke's speech, as well as the title, what matters is the social rank. You see, when you call someone your friend, you are giving value to the relationship. To you, the relationship is more important, not his or her social position. But when you are talking about the social position, you are being formal. Is a relationship between a husband and wife formal? Should it be formal? And should it be mentioned, my last Duchess? Why? Because to the Duke and to the Duke's mindset, it is the social position, social rank that matters, that I am the Duke, my last Duchess. So she has that position because I married her, and to me that position matters, not the person, not the relationship, nothing else. Clear? So that is the significance of the title. What more can I say? Let me just... So, the Duke shows the painting as if alive. He says as if alive. So, it has no difference. To him, the person alive and the painting being as if alive has no difference. That is his mindset. And then he commands to look at her, and then shows off how he understands art. Then complains very tactfully, as well as informs what he expects from a wife. Then his authoritarianism is throughout the poem. It is seen commanding to sit, commanding to rise. Then I give commands. This is the painting that only I can look at, etc. All these things. His possessiveness. Then how he cares about his social position, that he cannot even talk frankly to his wife. Of course, the chilling revelation is at last. So, like a drama, it progresses. The tension. First, it is our curiosity. Why is the Duke showing the painting? Then why is the Duke talking what is the Duke talking about, why, and etc. Oh, how is the Duke and how was the Duchess actually. Then going on forward, we get the Duchess was killed, and that was the climactic moment. That was the highest point our tension could ever get. And now we are shocked, as well as the envoy. The Duchess died, the envoy is frightened, and the poem ends with a symbolism. The symbol of Neptune taming a seahorse. This is a symbol because this symbolizes the Duke's nature, his psychology, his mindset. He as a man, he wants to tame the woman. As Neptune, the sea god, is taming a seahorse. Okay. So, in a patriarchal society, as you know, as we have discussed, a man wants to be in the dominant position. His ego is satisfied only by being in a position where he can dominate the counterpart. So, this domination serves him with satisfaction, serves his ego, etc. Browning has created the character very, very, I should say perfectly. From the title, from the beginning to the end, the structure has proper effect. The choice of words and the diplomatic verbal skill, what he wants to show about himself and what he actually is, how the envoy is looking at him or we are looking at him, all these things are perfectly placed here. So, that's it. How is it relevant to us? I have talked, I have discussed. This is, of course, some people say that Browning was escaping. Browning was talking about medieval Italy. He was more obsessed with medieval Italy. He was talking about. But what he has chosen to talk about is universal. Yes, the Duke is a character from the medieval Italy. The setting is medieval Italy. But if we compare the medieval Italy and Victorian morality, was not the poem relevant at that time in his own country? The mindset, the dominant Neptune taming a seahorse, that mindset, was it not there? Have you read Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House? I urge you to read that. That is a European drama. Okay. It is not about England, but it is about Europe, other countries of Europe, right? Even there, you will find how a woman is treated very beautifully as long as she behaves like a doll. And as long as she starts thinking on her own and starts to behave like a human being with good and bad, mistakes and good choices, whatever, but like a human being, as soon as she starts thinking as a human being, she is not, appreciated. That's the mindset. That's the mindset of a patriarchal society, and and is it not relevant to us today? Even if Browning escaped from talking about his society's conditions and was obsessed with medieval times, he has chosen such a theme, such a particular peculiar habit. Sorry, that was a problem with my camera. He has chosen such a universal theme that was relevant in medieval Italy, that was relevant in Victorian England, that is still relevant in today's India, or in other countries. Uh, he has shown us how the patriarchal system can make a man think about himself in egoistical terms and be dominant and quite torturing towards women, thinking of them as their secondary, uh, and using them as if they are objects, torturing them, killing them, and even after that derogating or insulting their characters. All these things are even relevant today because, as I have already mentioned, open today's newspaper and you will find. If you have eyes and if you have a brain, you will find. If you are not looking at, celebrity stuff, if you are looking at real news that matters, that is, if you have the eye to look at reality, you will find dozens of news. And that will shatter your so-called, gentle beliefs about this society and civilization and, all these traditional attitudes and beliefs and customs and etc. All beautiful things will be torn apart if you look at it. Now, this is a long lecture. At the end, I should suggest you some stand-up comedy so that you can relate how in today's society men are brought up and how arranged marriages are taking place. And I am suggesting three particular stand-up comedy videos. Number one is Raja Beta by Puneet Pania. Number two is Arranged Marriage by Karunesh Talwar. And number three is again Arranged Marriage by AIB. If you have not understood how patriarchal society, creates that mindset in us, watch these three videos and you will be entertained as well as you will learn. Okay. And if you like this video, comment, share, that will help. Thank you.